Now let's start blending in. When blending, you can use HB2H, whatever works. Start from the local areas while blending and adjusting the form. Find these subtle changes, you can work outward. See where the changes touch these details. Just take the eraser and pull outward. This cast shadow is heavy, make the reflected light here relatively brighter. Switch to 2H. Where you're drawing heavy, you can use HB. If it's not that heavy, use 2H for very light values. Use 6H or 4H. Take out the needed eraser. Lift this area slightly, create the form of this highlight. As we blend, you'll see the form gets micro adjustments. These micro adjustments are crucial. This is form modeling. Don't draw too dark at this stage when blending. Work around the features first, then the surrounding areas. Use the needed eraser to lift the highlight on the tongue. Now you can use the eraser to break up this area. You can stop here for now. Just lift this area slightly, then lift this area slightly too. Because it was all covered, this area looks too cold. Use the needed eraser to blend this color down. Dab it. Tone down this area overall. Don't let it be too bright. Suppress values that shouldn't be that bright. Then pull this area down a bit. Now we can go deeper. Final round of light and gray values starting from the features. This is the final pass. Reduce this value, reduce the contrast. This value also needs less contrast. Establish the layers in this area. It's a bit round now. Yes, one plane, two planes. What's the form of the second plane? See, 1, 2, 3, it goes like this. Separate the layers of each plane. Work out all these details around this area. I can use the eraser pencil to adjust these tiny areas, but don't make it too bright. Just a gray highlight. This area is cast shadow heavy. This area is reflected light. This is the Terminator. Every stroke you make, you need to know what you're drawing. Is it cast shadow or the Terminator? Or some gray value in the shadow. So you must know what you're drawing. Only then will your work be accurate and the relationships correct. At this spot, outline the shape. Here's the cast shadow and here's the reflected light. Then this area is the highlight, surrounded by the gray tone. Bring out that bright plane. Now add just a slight transition here. Just a touch is enough. This area will have a small highlight. Leave this bright spot, then push down this area a bit. Don't make the ear too round. If it's too circular, it'll look stiff. So let's square it off a bit. Like here, see how I'm deliberately making it angular. Square, square, square. The earlobe can be a bit rounder. This area, since we're using pencil, will have some reflected light. Plus, it doesn't need strong contrast. Keep it softer. Let's set this area aside for now and come back to this spot. Finish this area completely. We can leave this section for now and fully develop this part first. Find the form here. These subtle shifts and small details. This spot, the line's a bit thin here, so smudge it slightly with this here. Use the eraser to lift out the reflected light and brighten this highlight a bit. Bring out the reflected light and highlights for me. keep the gray tone itself, but you can lighten it slightly. This area has a small bright spot. Lift it out here. Use the blending stump to soften this edge back a bit. Just use the eraser to refine this form. Use the short eraser to lighten the tone in this area a bit. Just simplify the shapes on this edge. See, this area becomes a square and this area becomes a triangle. Then use the eraser to soften this edge, add a bit of gray to the color. This area here, don't make it too short. Consider the perspective angle. For this tabletop, let's tone down its brightness a bit. Reduce the contrast in this area. It's too strong against the bright spots. The space feels flat. Soften this color, make it gentler. This adjusts both the background and the edge lines. This area is still too strong, too heavy. Blend it more, make it grayer. Now step back and look at the overall composition. Wherever it's too strong, push it down, blend it out. This isn't the time to add details or strengthen anything. We're adjusting the overall balance. Use the blending tool as much as possible. Minimize scraping with the pen. See this area? The color is a bit heavy. Blend it more. This color here, where it's thin like clouds, add another layer or two. Go over it a few more times to make the color transition smoother.
This drawing board isn't perfectly flat in many spots, so you'll get these little marks and black dots. This area should be lighter, this area should be softer. Just compare them and you're good.